Hello and welcome to Sitecore Standard Values Podcast. I am your host today, Rick Bauer, Director of Customer Transformation here at Sitecore. In this podcast, we continually seek to provide deeper insights into the value of Sitecore as a solution to business problems. With regular episodes from me in the US and my counterpart Sultan in the Netherlands, we will alternate to bring you a variety of guests to share their global perspectives and experiences through a rich tapestry of discussion, opinion, and thought experiments. For a very special episode today, my guest is fellow director here at Sitecore, Jonathan Corley. Jonathan, welcome. Can you please tell us about yourself, your role, and why don't you set up kind of what we're doing here today?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Rick. So I lead the experience strategy practice within Sitecore's customer transformation team. And I joined Sitecore back in 2017. With experience on the partner side. So I've been working with the Sitecore platform since version 6 or for nearly a decade now. But I'm excited today to take a look back. January is a good time to hit the reset button and to really look back across the last year and take inventory. And a lot of things changed for digital strategists in the Sitecore space. I thought this would be a good chance to review some of the insightful posts or some of the best content for Sitecore strategists from the last year. And I have not, Rick, I haven't shown you any of my favorite posts. I haven't seen any of yours. I thought we would just kind of round robin, ping pong back and forth with a few of our favorite assets.
I love it. Yeah, and I love that you came up with this concept, and I'm looking forward to doing this with you. I think it's great because often the strategy side in the community is a little underplayed. It is definitely tech. There's a lot of tech forward, but that being said, there's also just as much strategy, and I feel like it's nice to give a little exposure to some of the hardworking folks in the community that are strategy leaning. So
there was a lot of ground for them to cover too. I guess Things are organized in clouds now with content, experience, or commerce, and you've got just a wave of acquisitions the last few years. And I learned a lot by preparing for this episode, by reviewing the posts from the last 12 months or so.
Same. But, yeah, from 3 products to 13 or so, 12, 13 products. So yes, a lot of ground to cover. You want to kick us off with your first of?
Sure. Yeah. So I really liked this CDP strategy readiness webinar that Accentium did. It dives into the capabilities of a CDP. Here it was Dalton Allison and Sam Goebel. They start by defining the category of a CDP and talking a bit about what that sort of software can do for your business. And then they explore CDP capabilities really from a general or broad perspective, and then dive into Sitecore's CDP offering. And I think it's a good resource to share with stakeholders if they're looking for a foundational understanding of a customer data platform.
Very cool. Yeah, and again, we'll make sure to have these links available to not just what we're showing on screen here. All right, I did not have that one, so we'll see how many we cross over on. I'll start with from Australia. John King wrote a really good piece on just a composable, and again, with everything that was coming out, this buzzword, I'll call it, has been used quite a lot in the last year, but I still think he did a great job of really a high level setting the stage around composable and how it can be it's basically composable DXP best of breed that meets your business needs. Covers off on everything from high level Gartner to how Sitecore is starting to organize into the 3 clouds, and drills into some I love like the listicle kind of thing. So 5 benefits of composable DXP architecture and so on. So but, including some great shots from our own symposium and, really starting to look at some decision documents and things like that. So John's stuff is always really thoughtful and really, easy reads, but there's a lot of, meaty reads, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I probably haven't eaten lunch, and that's why I'm going to use food analogies throughout this whole thing. How about
that? The next one on my end, it was called Top 10.1 New Features of Sitecore 10.1. So while there's been a lot of movement or innovation on the composable side of Sitecore's digital experience solutions, this is more XP, and it was early this year. I think it was January or February, but this one was written by Jana Baumgartner. And Sitecore continues releasing new point versions of the experience platform. The release of version 10.1 has it's packed with exciting features. Mm-hmm. And this is a really detailed post that outlines form enhancements or SXA or Horizon, the new Launchpad look and feel. And this was 10.1. All of that's included in the latest version, which since it's January now would be 10.3. But this one, really nice post by Jana.
And that makes sense. Like the most recent upgrades are more dev forward. So 10.1 was definitely a little more marketer feature, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. A lot of more changes there. So that makes sense. Very cool. Okay. I'm going to pivot off of that slightly because it's kind of related. I liked this Sitecore XM versus XM Cloud. What's the difference? This was Natalie Makowski from Fish Tank, and she did a really great, comparison of XM and XM Cloud. And I think this is going to be very useful to a lot of people starting to say, how do I evolve from what was Sitecore to what is Sitecore and where is it going? Obviously both still exist and will exist, but for those that are wanting to start to evolve to a more modern stack, I think this is a really solid read. So just it's a quick one, but it just really covers some of the core basics. Good insights.
Next one on my list is it's called Sitecore Introduces Content Hub 1, a pure headless CMS. So this is by Dan Murphy, and in this article or this blog post, Dan shares his first impressions of Sitecore's new headless Content Hub 1 solution. And similar to Natalie's post there, so he's differentiating between Sitecore's flagship CMS and the new Content Hub 1. And also Sitecore's Content Hub, which is the existing DAM and CMP solution. But this space is moving fast with Content Hub 1 and Headless, and it's a really great read.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we're already halfway through our top 10 list, and we have not had a duplicate yet.
There was so much content following all of these innovative products or announcements. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, because we both, I pulled 10 myself, and I think you did 10 or more, or whatever you did, but still haven't overlapped. All right.
See how far we get.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Who do I want to pick here? I'm gonna go to an old Sitecore veteran, and him, Chris Nash. Yeah. Did a really good piece on, I always think it's not the easiest topic, but it's the analytics piece, and not for no reason with Chris and his Relevant Edge platform that can really, it does wonders between Sitecore and Power BI and being able to really distill analytics very well. So it's a bit of a plug for Relevant Edge, but the piece is in depth and thoughtful. Personalization, journey analytics, the missing link question mark. But it's a LinkedIn blog of his, but Jonathan, you will certainly start to recognize some of the methodologies and some familiar scenes in here as far as just how we as strategists and marketers should be thinking about approaching analytics and data. But he just does a great job in getting into drilling down into that Power BI level of data. So it's exciting to see what's possible with all of the information that's available and collected.
Nice.
So Chris was a former.
I missed that one. I'm added to my list. I'm looking forward to reading it.
All right.
This next one, it's a channel. It's not an individual post. So I'm going to call out the SMAC, an acronym for Sitecore Strategy MVP Advisory Council webinar series YouTube channel, which is a mouthful, but SMAC webinars, they have their own dedicated playlist on Discover Sitecore on YouTube, and they're periodically there are webinars that are packed with insights from Sitecore strategists across the globe. So highlights, I think, from this last year, Walt Rowley's session on CDP. You had Greg Baxter, who discussed the composable customer, and Jana Baumgartner again. She provided an overview of the shift from XP to personalize. But all of the videos are available on YouTube. And Rick, I think you've got a hand in some of the content there.
I am a smacker. That doesn't sound right. I am on the SMAC team. Yes. So it's a great team with a lot of hardworking people. Definitely, I'm probably not doing enough on that team. I'll say that on this recording, but there are a lot of very dedicated people to keeping the strategy community, deeply involved and giving them a platform, to really share something. Man, you said two things in there that lead me to two different directions. So I'm going to play off of what you did and say, here's one that's not really so much a piece of content, but it is a way to keep in touch with, all of the endless content. And Mr. Jim Patillo, it's NW Content Tech is where he's from, Northwest Content Tech. He runs the Reddit. He handles the Reddit feed. So basically there's, the subreddit, reddit.com, and then it's /Sitecore. And you can even do /.rss if you want the RSS feed. So for those out there that are Reddit folks, this is a great way to just, he does a fantastic job of keeping tabs on all the things. So it's just a gigantic place of, a gigantic aggregator, right? That pulls together all of that content in one place. So I would say if you're looking for any of this content that we're talking about right now, there's an easy place to start finding it. Again, we'll have all of this as links, but so that's shout out to Jim.
Nice. Next one, it's a survey. It's not a blog or an article, but I didn't see a specific author. It's horizontal digital, but they had a Sitecore upgrade or composable survey. It's a DXP maturity assessment where you fill out a few questions, and then it helps you understand whether, based on your organization's vision, whether moving toward a composable architecture is the right move or not. It's built on SurveyMonkey, and there is a pass or SAS LinkedIn post that corresponds with the survey, but it's just a clean survey that points you in one or two directions, and I thought it was really nicely done.
Cool. Since we've done a couple that are not content, I'll send everyone to a slew of content. Malik from Addict, Malik D. He's got a slew of posts, and so I'm just going to share, a link to his, the return of searching for his name because it'll just pull up all the tiles for all his blogs. But what I like about what his approach is and what he's writing about is he's doing a lot on the newer composable pieces. So he's got some on Discover, he's got some on Send. So he's really covering off across the board on our solution suite. So it's nice to see. And again, I imagine I will edit so it's showing on screen here. You can see the tiles of all the content that he has. So I'm just, if nothing else, I'm impressed by the quantity, but it's more than just quantity, it's quality.
Nice. On the podcast side, there's another podcast called Fireside, and it's hosted by Josh Hooper. But I'll call out one episode. The guests are both from Sitecore Search or Discover. So that software had origins in Reflection, which was one of the Sitecore acquisitions. And there's an episode where Josh talks to Rui Ewald and Nick Papadouglas, Nick P, about the Sitecore Discover, one of the newest composable software solutions. There's a handful of podcasts throughout the year, but I really enjoyed this one. And we will, again, with all these, we'll point a link directly to that podcast.
I think we're at either 10 or maybe a little more,
So if we're at 10, I'm going to throw a curveball that I haven't talked to you about, but was there a TV show or a movie from this last year that you really enjoyed?
Oh boy. I'm not sure if I have the year right, but I feel like I watched this last year. The pandemic and all is kind of blurred time, but I was a big Queen's Gambit fan. Really, really loved that show throughout. I thought it was just thoughtful and well done. It was kind of strangely dark and all that other fun. And just because it's so recent, on the recent plane ride home last night, I watched Nope.
I haven't seen it yet.
I won't spoil anything. I won't spoil anything for anyone. It's just, it was surprising and just, I don't know. It was just a fun story. It was a good ride. So nice. Yourself?
I recently really liked White Lotus, the second season. And
have to watch.
The Glass Onion movie, there's the second Glass Onion movie, or the Knives Out movie, Glass Onion.
Yep. That was very good. Yeah, Jonathan, with us not having any duplicates in that top 10, I feel like this is something that we could repeat either on an annual basis or maybe twice a year, depending on how time allows in our busy schedules. But, I'd like to just continue to encourage anyone with strategy-based topics in the Sitecore space to keep that content coming, keep posting, keep recording videos, podcasts. We'll keep a lookout for you. And if it's something that can make the top 10 list, we'll definitely get it out there and share it on Discover Sitecore. If
there's any glaring omissions, any great content that we missed from 2022, please comment in the box below. And Rick, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining me on the podcast, and I look forward to a recurring set of lists here with this. Definitely, again, as Jonathan mentioned, let's comment below, and please subscribe, like, all that fun stuff that you can do with these, and look for the upcoming episodes on Discover Sitecore YouTube or anywhere that you get your podcasts. Thank you.